Okay, so I think I found a player that is going a little under the radar right now. Drew Shelton from Penn State. This guy, I think, is going to get a lot more buzz after this season. And he's got all the traits, really. He plays left tackle. He's number 66 at Penn State. There's not a ton that is there that this guy can't develop and grow into a starting left tackle in the NFL. And if nothing else, I think he's got a very high floor as a great backup in the league. So this is a dude that easily makes a roster and has potential to be a very, very good starter in the NFL. So let's get right into the film here for Drew Shelton, as I mentioned, number 66. And here is something I don't think he does well at the moment: his run blocking, reach blocking, stuff like that. And when you're reach blocking, it's a matter of being able to get to the other, in this case, you're going to get to the right shoulder of this defensive lineman. And you're going to see multiple times, we're going to go game by game in this. He really struggles with his reach blocking, and just his run blocking in general is a little bit not quite what I wanted to see. Now, his pull blocking, he's got some really, really good pull blocks. Great job sealing this block to get single Nick the Quick out into space, and he's gone too. Nick the Quick, give him a little bit of crease. He's good with his hand technique, though. Like, some of his countermeasures are excellent. The snatch trap, we were just talking about with Caleb Lomu, how good he is. He's not quite as good as Lomu is with his snatch trap, but he's really good. Here's another thing you're going to notice. Look at his lateral agility. When you talk about elite left tackles, you talk about the Trent Williams of the world and all those guys, the Darasaws. They have great, great lateral agility. So does this guy, Drew Shelton. I'm probably going to call him Danny Shelton, so pardon me throughout this. I don't think there's a relation. I have to look that one up. But yes, I love some of his pull blocks. There's another one that just seals a big opening there. Very, very good. Kind of loses the outside shoulder, and this is going to be something we'll harp on, is his grip strength is not quite there, and he can be a little bit weak with that left hand lead, just like we were mentioning with Caleb Lomo. I don't know, I keep mentioning that, but it is something. There's some similarities to him. I don't think he's as polished as Lomo is, and Lomo's even a little bit younger, but he does have that quickness, and there's that snatch trap right there. Does a good job, just well enough where he avoids the holding. Good technique, a little high on the hands, able to get him to the outside of the arc and let Drew Allard get the ball out, step up in the pocket. Next rep, just another one, stonewalled him right there. He shocked that defender. He was like, whoa, I didn't see that one coming. Like me jolting back in my seat there. But here's a run blocking, one-on-one. Good job sealing, sustaining, letting Katron Allen get into the end zone. Run blocking, another good rep versus UCLA. Had a really good game versus UCLA. Here shows off some of that lateral agility. Great rep there from Drew Shelton. Another good rep. A lot of good reps that he didn't show from this UCLA game. He played Olufemi Oladejo extremely well. And if you were scouting Olufemi Oladejo in this game, you probably were a little lower on him. This was his one rep that he did lose. Poor hand technique right there. Poor timing with his punch and misses. He did a good job versus the Ohio State game. There's that snatch trap versus JT Tuimoloau. I thought he did an excellent job versus JT. And this Buckeyes defense in general, I think there's another snatch trap technique, gets him to the ground. He uses it over and over again. And it's not just using it over and over again to use it. He does a good job using it. Does a good enough job to be able to push JT to the outside. Now, he does lose in the run game in this one. So there's one where JT's able to shed him. There's another one coming up here where, boom, cloth pull. And he just has to do a better job run blocking. He's good in pass pro, but his run blocking isn't great. And even though he lost that rep a little bit, he's able to hold because he's got some decent counters there. Does a good job mirroring. His mirroring skills are excellent. Here's another run blocking, ends up on the ground. His balance in the run game, is kind of poor. Yeah, it really is. And just in general, his hand placement, his sustaining ability in the run game is not very good. So that's going to be something that he's got to really show this season. But pass pro wise, there's a lot. And this is the thing we're going to see time and time again with him too in the run blocking. I don't know. He's not great at combos or getting to this. Like, he'll miss defenders. His awareness right now isn't ideal as a run blocker. He just kind of misses guys. This is a good rep here versus Oregon. We're going to get into some more of the Oregon tape now, which he kind of had an up and down game. In the Oregon, Notre Dame, and SMU, he was very up and down. He had some really good reps like that last one. And here's another one which just kind of misses. He's almost a little lackadaisical. He's like looking ahead. You see where his eyes are right now? It's not even on this defender, really. He's kind of like going out here trying to get to the outside or something, and he's just like completely missing this guy. So it's not necessarily like the lack of athleticism or anything like that, which is kind of crazy. It's just, I don't know, some awareness stuff with him. There's a slow. It's not too bad there, but he loses the inside. Poor right hand lead on that one. And there's just a missed block too. Lack of power, as we mentioned with some of those reach blocks and whatnot, just not overly great. Not strong enough with the hands here. Now, this one I know is hard to see because it was, I apologize, but the film basically, it was like in replay mode or whatever. It was from a replay from the last play. So this was like it went to the live spot right here. Here's a guy, Mateo Uyunglele, who could be a first round pick this year. Watch him swipe the hands right there on Shelton. So got to do a better job with more of your accuracy and your punch. That's another thing he needs to work on, is just more continued accuracy. When he hits it, he's good, but sometimes he just kind of misses his punch. He's not able to strike on the inside consistently. He's not like a holding risk. I don't see a ton of penalties with him, honestly. I think I saw like one full start penalty, and it wasn't really his fault, in my opinion. Good, solid right-hand lead to give him enough time, but just obviously need to keep those feet moving a little more consistently. There's another reach block that he missed. Here's good technique. See him right here? I like this. This is good job. This defender, he's got his shoulder right now. So some guys out there are just going to try to take the ride. He did a good job. Look at him trying to get that, being conscious to knock number 30, that left arm off of him. And he does a really good job with that. So I think that's something he is very, very good with, his hand technique. There's another missed punch. And that goes back into some of the timing and the accuracy. Those are two big things he has to work on. Let's go to this next one, run blocking. Here's a good run blocking rep. He really caves in. This is one of his better run blocking reps. He caves in this side of the offensive line, allows Nick Singleton to do the rest of the work. The SMU tape, here's another kind of just his hands get swatted and loses the outside track. He is susceptible to losing the outside track to speed. He gets a little too quick to the second level and misses. And that's just something where I think he needs to just get better and more patient. He does get bull rushed right here by this SMU defender. In terms of the culprit here, I think the SMU defender, he's just late with his hands on this one. He's out wide too. The SMU defender gets him right in the chest and just knocks him, jars him back with power, loses it. I mean, it's going to happen. Even if you're the best offensive lineman, it's going to happen. He does a good job, though, here, allowing Katron Allen seals the edge. Good job by this interior of the offensive line, getting a nice push, and then he seals the edge. Now, this is the most recent game. This is 2025 tape. This is versus Nevada, and hopefully I said that right. Nevada, I know. But good punch. And this is good to see, right? This is a nice, strong, he looks stronger this year, which is super important. So I did move up my strength profile. I get it. I want to see it versus more competition in the Big Ten. But there's some good defenders here too, right? Good punch there once again. See him here. This is nice, solid punch to knock him down there. Jars him back a little bit. There still shows some of the awareness stuff. Once again, like what are you looking at? He's like looking outside here or something. And then he notices this guy late. Like, how do you not notice him before that? Like, that's my big concern. Like, he's right in front of your face. I mean, he is looking at him right here, but I don't know, maybe just he stops his feet a bit or something and then just ends up losing him the inside. I've seen the athleticism where he can redirect, so I know he's got that to him. And you see some redirecting right there a little bit. Good hands. Does lose eventually with an outside counter, but in general, pretty solid rep. You're not going to win every single time. I mean, put him in a decent position, keep your feet moving, which at least he does. Drew Allen could always step up in that pocket too, could make it a little bit easier. He's like taking a huge step back. So that's the film study portion of it. I watched 9 games of Drew Shelton, 8 from last year and then the game from this year with Nevada. Pass blocking grade wise, I really love what he brings to the table with that with those athletic traits that he has. And you want to combine the athleticism, I think in terms of if it's in the B range, it's like above average. If you're in the C range, it's kind of like average. So just kind of pointing that out with my grades and stuff. So I think his athleticism is really, really good. I think he's got very, very good agility and certainly can mirror rushers and stuff like that. I do think his footwork, though, needs to get better and more consistent with some of those lackadaisical moments that we saw. And then also his grip strength from last season. At times, he would get his hands swatted maybe a little bit too easy. So I like his technique, and I think he's got some good counters. He needs to be stronger when he does latch on, so that way he's sustaining blocks longer, because we saw him get his hands swatted lose the edge or lose something to the inside, just not quite enough power to be able to sustain those blocks. I do think he does a good job, though, overall, like with his, I think he's got enough balance in pass pro right now. There are times, especially in the run game, where I think that's more of an issue. But in pass pro, I think he's pretty decent with his balance. So those are kind of some areas, the accuracy, the strength, the leverage. Those are really footwork are all things that I think he can really improve upon. Also, the stunt and blitz. This also just kind of, for me, was involving the awareness grade. I tried to incorporate that. I don't technically have an awareness grade with these, but I think his awareness grade, I put that in a little bit with the stunt and blitzes, because if you think about it, that's more of a mind thing. And also on the stunt and blitzes, I thought he lost a lot of those reps. And I am coming from Caleb Lum, who I just watched, who he was excellent at that. So maybe there's a little bit of like, you go from excellent to not so good, and it made my grade a little bit lower. But I definitely noticed where there were a lot of times those stunt and blitz pickups, he just didn't have the awareness to really pick those up super at a high level. Run blocking, definitely an area I want to see him improve this year, because I know he's got some serious potential there with his athleticism. I just felt like he wasn't really there on some of the second level blocks. He's good at pulling. I think he had some really, really high level pull blocks. So I do want to mention that. And his punishing ability is okay. I've seen him knock a couple of guys to the ground, but nothing too crazy. He's definitely not a Caden Proctor level of punishing ability or anything like that. And his sustainability has to get better, just like I said with his pass blocking. His athlete I already mentioned, but he's a really, really good athlete. Definitely an above average athlete. I wouldn't call him like generational athlete or anything like that. I do think Lamu is a little bit better of an athlete than him. He's a good athlete, though. He definitely is a plus athlete. And if he can get a little more muscle mass this season, which he already looks like he's a little thicker, he needs to really get thicker in the lower half too, especially if he's going to get better with his run blocking. That to me is what I'm going to be watching out for most with Drew Shelton this season. So anyway, that's my thought on him. Comp-wise, I see a little bit of Christian Darrisaw, and I got to give a shout out to A to Z because they're the ones that came up with that comp. But when I heard that, I'm like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I think it's a really good comp from a body type perspective. The way that Darrisaw was coming out of Virginia Tech, the way he plays and everything like that. And Darrisaw needed to really improve his hand technique and his footwork. And I think there's a lot of parallels with Shelton. But the type of players that they are, the athletic profile that they have, is really impressive combined with the body type, as I mentioned. So I see a lot of that. And I know that's a really high-end comp. I'm not saying he's going to be the next all-pro stud left tackle, but I think there's a very, very high floor with Shelton. I would be shocked, and I mean shocked, if he is not in the league, at least as a backup in 4 years, barring an injury or stuff like that, which he has no major injury history, luckily, and I don't want to, jinx him or nothing. But I think that he is a very high floor prospect that also has plenty of upside to be a very, very good tackle in the NFL. And if nothing else, a good guard. I think there's a lot of upside for him as a guard. And I don't think he's limited to a zone blocking scheme, because I think his zone blocking is actually not very good. He might be better as a gap guy right now at the moment. Especially if he gets a little stronger, if he gets his weight up to more like the 310, 320 range, then he might be better in a gap scheme rather than a zone, even though he's a super athletic guy. That's really where I'm at, though, with Drew Shelton, the left tackle at Penn State. Let's keep an eye out on him as he gets into more and more footage this year. I think he could be a first-round pick, though, and I'm comfortable mocking him in the first round. I have no problem with that. I'd probably take him over Proctor at the moment. I don't think I'd take him over Lomo right now. I like Lomo a lot, but I do think Shelton is a guy that has a lot of upside that could end up being you could put over. He could end up being tackle one. It really has the upside for that. I really mean that. I like him a lot. So, yeah, let me know what you think. Agree or disagree on Drew Shelton. Sorry if the film, if I make it go a little too quick. I try to get, not too bore you and all those sort of things. But anyway, if you want to slow it down, definitely can hit that, cut in half and stuff. Just watch the film itself and you could mute me and watch the film only. I hope you guys have a good day, though. My name is G Sling. I'm doing my thing. I'll talk to you later. Let me know if there's any prospects you want to see.